It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 284. Day in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, it is that time once again, y'all, to get into another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious what is going on type of videos. Hope y'all doing excellent out there today, and I'm glad that y'all came on back to the channel once again to fuck with the bean. Now, we finna go to one of our closest homeboys channel that we ain't been to in a while, y'all. The last couple videos, we been to a couple channels that we ain't been to in a while, and there's another one. And that homeboy is Lazy Masquerade. Lazy Masquerade, y'all. And the title of this video, Exploring Japan's Most Bizarre Unsolved Mysteries. So y'all already know how Lazy get down. So y'all know these unsolved mysteries finna have us like, it could be this, it could be that. What the, maybe it's that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know how Lazy do, man. That he have some of the most crazy shit that you'll ever hear. So let's hear some more crazy shit right now. But before we hear that crazy shit right now, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need. We back to the Lazy Man once again, my brothers and sisters. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go. The Lazy.
Today's video is sponsored by Raycon.
The Lazy starting out with commercials at the beginning of the video. Y'all fuck with them Raycons, man. If y'all don't fuck with the AirPods, then fuck with them Raycons, man. You know what I'm saying? Look at Lazy ass. The long ass shit. Alright, let's start right here. Long lost Sumio.
Kasugai, a small city in Aichi Prefecture, home to the Shonai River, the ruins of Jojo Castle, and a 66-year-old man named Sumio Suenaga. Or at least, it was. Coming from a family of modest means, Sumio Suenaga lived in a small home with his younger sister and brother, whom we'll respectively refer to as Imoto and Ototo. The three siblings were, by all accounts, close. Thick as thieves, in fact. So it's strange to think that when Sumio mysteriously vanished in 2015, it took Imoto and Ototo a full year to report him missing.
The fuck?
According to Imoto, Sumio had left the house to run some kind of errand, and she, quote, figured that he'd turn up sooner or later. The authorities did their best to locate the missing elder, though, given how much time had already passed, the chances of finding him alive, if at all, were slim to none. As detectives conducted their investigation, Sumio's siblings waited patiently for their brother to return, sure that he was still out there somewhere, alive and well. But by 2020, Imoto seemingly gave up hope. Realizing that Sumio was probably never coming home, she decided to make use of his bedroom. It didn't make sense to let such a space go to waste, especially in such a small house. Having sat dormant for the past 5 years, the room was obviously in desperate need of a spring cleaning, and so Imoto set to work tidying it up. But as she packed away her brother's possessions, she came across something hidden beneath a pile of clutter. After gazing upon it for some time, she picked up the phone and called the police. Hello? I've found something. I think they're human bones.
What?
While tidying the room, Imoto had stumbled upon the unclothed, partially mummified remains of her older brother, Sumio. Though by that point, there were few identifiable features left to be completely sure it was him. This discovery baffled not only investigators, but everyone who had read about the case.
And shit, it's baffling me too. God, the first, I don't believe this, bro. There is no way, bro. There is no way possible that this man died in this room and he was in there all these years to the point his body decomposed into bones without a Moto and Shishkoto, whatever they name is, man. I think what are the sister name of Moto, Emoto, and then the brother name Ototo. Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. There is no way they was in that house, bro, and didn't start to smell something. There was no way that they did not start to smell a decomposing body. Ain't no way in the hell they ain't start to smell something dead in their house. A fucking goddamn rat could literally die in your house and you will smell it. So either this man got killed by somebody somewhere, then he was brought back into the house, or the sister and brother is guilty and they the one who did it. Now y'all choose which one y'all want to believe, but I don't believe I don't believe the bullshit she's saying right now. Let's go.
Japanese homes, even outside of Tokyo, are typically quite small. But even by those standards, the Suenaga household was said to be particularly tiny. How could it be then that Emoto and Ototo were completely unaware that they had been living with the decomposing remains of their older brother for 5 festeringly long years? Surely the flies, the smell, would have alerted them that something was wrong. Similarly, after the siblings reported Sumio missing, one assumes that investigators at least came to their home and examined it. How did they miss all of these telltale signs too? It's also peculiar that when Emoto reported her brother missing, she told detectives that Sumio had, quote, gone out and not come home in over a year. That wording surely suggests that she at least saw him leaving the house on the day he vanished. I suppose it's possible that this was a slip of the tongue, or that she had just assumed that he had gone out that day, but that phrasing seems odd to me. Now, I don't need to tell you that the details in this case just don't seem to add up, and that there are a few questions that need answering. How had Sumio come to die? Why did it take his siblings 5 years to realize he was still inside the house? Why did it take them so long to report him missing in the first place? And why couldn't investigators find his remains themselves?
And then this is another reason it just don't add up, man. Even if, let's just hypothetically say they didn't smell this decomposing body that been in there for 5 years. You mean to tell me in 5 years y'all ain't went in his room enough to discover his body? Like nobody ever went in this little small house room in 5 years to at least see him laying there dead? Like, come on, man. This shit don't make no sense. No way possible. And I believe both of them guilty. I'm gonna go and get my verdict now. They need to be locked up for murder because they got something to do with this shit.
Well, we don't know what happened for sure, but there are 3 main theories floating around on the internet to explain this mystery. The first is that Sumio and his siblings were extreme hoarders. No pictures of the inside of their home have ever been released, which has led many to speculate that it must have been full of all sorts of junk, and likely smelled terrible to begin with. Hence why Emoto and Ototo didn't notice any unusual odors, and why it took them so long to uncover Sumio's remains. He was likely buried under a pile of rubbish, out of eyeshot, and crucially, no shot. The second theory is a bit more cruel. Japan has long had a problem with families not reporting their elderly loved ones deceased so that they can keep cashing in their pension checks. For example, back in 2010, a man named Shogun Kato was thought to be the oldest living person in Tokyo. Thing is, when officials went to his home to congratulate him on his 111th birthday, they discovered his mummified remains eerily tucked up in his bed, dressed in pajamas. Mr. Kato had been dead for the past 30 years, and for all of that time, his family members had been keeping his passing a secret. That way, they could keep cashing in his widower's pension payments. Could it be then that Emoto and Ototo had been pulling the same scam? That would explain why they didn't report Sumio's disappearance to the authorities until an entire year had passed. Perhaps after 5 years of claiming their brother's payments, they thought they wouldn't push their luck any further, and claimed to have just stumbled upon him in his own bedroom. The third theory is the darkest of them all though. That Emoto and Ototo were the ones responsible for ending Sumio's life. Either
The theory that I'm going with, they did it.
after a dispute, or for financial gain. They likely delivered the fatal blow in a moment of madness, not having fully thought through their plan, and refrained from getting the authorities involved for as long as they feasibly could, terrified of the potential consequences. Incompetent investigators failed to do a proper search of their home, and 5 years later, Emoto decided enough time had passed to get rid of the remains. You'll notice I'm making a lot of assumptions when talking about this case, and that's because very few details about it have been released to the public. The most disturbing detail, which hasn't yet been confirmed, is whether the remains even belong to Sumio at all. I mean, I'm assuming they must, but there are no sources online, Japanese or otherwise, that mention whether the bones were forensically analysed and confirmed to be his. None that I can find anyway. On the slim chance that they weren't his, then this mystery takes on altogether more sinister undertones, and implies a fourth theory. That Sumio killed someone in his own bedroom, and then went on the run, with his siblings helping to cover his tracks. Given that Sumio was a 66-year-old man at the time he vanished, I think that's highly unlikely. But as we've come to learn in past videos, stranger things have happened, especially in the land of the rising sun.
Okay, Lazy just threw a little wrench in that first case, when he said that the fucking bones ain't even been identified, that it's actually him, Sumio. So that kind of make a theory go away that you can't confirm it. We can't confirm that they killed him, because hell, that might not even be him. Even though more than likely 9 times out of 10, 99.9% chance that is Sumio's body that was found, them bones that was found in the house. It's just weird to me that why is this not confirmed yet? Why haven't y'all confirmed it? But I don't give a fuck, y'all. I don't care what nobody say. There is no fucking way in hell, hoarders or not, you can have all the trash in your house that you want to. If a dead body in there, you gon' know it. Because that smell, come on, man. Even if he was covered up in all this trash, then how he even get covered up in the trash? For him to get covered up in the trash, that mean he had to been through the trash on top of him. And in the process of throwing trash on top of him, you would have seen his dead body. I'm sorry, y'all. The theory I'm going with is that they killed him. And I'm going to leave it at that. Let's go to this one right here. The man from Torrid. Is that Torrid or Tard? I don't know how to read. Let's go.
In the summer of 1954, a Caucasian male wearing business attire arrived at Tokyo's Haneda airport. He handed his passport over to the border guard, who noticed something unusual. Although the document appeared to be legitimate, it stated that the man was from Torrid, a country which doesn't exist. A country which has never existed. Despite that, the passport was filled to the brim with stamps from countries that the man had previously visited, including Japan. His wallet was filled with different, real currencies from across the world. Despite being issued by a fictitious country, this passport had certainly gotten the man some mileage. The man was led into an interrogation room, where officials questioned him about his nationality. Confusingly, the man maintained that he was a citizen of Torrid. Thinking that something must be getting lost in translation here, the officials placed a map on the table and asked the man to identify exactly where Torrid was. Without hesitation, the man pointed to a small piece of land located between France and Spain. "Oh," proclaimed one of the officials. "Andorra. You're from Andorra?" "No," replied the man. "I've never heard of it." "I'm from Torrid," The officials tried to explain that no such country exists, which visibly angered the man. He snapped back that Taured had existed for 1,000 years. "All right," they replied. "And why have you come to Japan today?" Suddenly, in flawless Japanese, the man replied, "My company sent me. I'm here on business. My passport's official, can't you see?" This must be some sort of misunderstanding, thought the officials. Perhaps people from Andorra could officially refer to themselves as Tauredians. Unsure of how else to proceed, they decided to detain the man whilst they ran some background checks. They took the man to a nearby hotel and placed him inside a locked room on the top floor. There was no balcony, the windows didn't open, and guards were stationed outside the door to make sure that he couldn't escape. As the officials quickly learned, the company that the man claimed to work for had never heard of him, and, as expected, Taured wasn't an alternate name for any nation or peoples. Sure that the man's passport was nothing more than a convincing fake, the officials returned to the hotel room to arrest him. But when they entered the room, he was nowhere to be found. The guard stationed outside the door said that he had never left the room, and there was no way out aside from the door they were guarding. The man was never seen or heard from again.
Okay, do y'all think this man is like a fucking... First of all, do y'all just think he crazy and gone crazy, or he just lying and created his own, passport, and that's just what it is, and he's just trying to act like he stay in this fictional place, Taured? Or is it a possibility that this man is a time traveler, or he from another timeline, or a different dimension, or some shit like that? That's possible too, right? I'm just saying. As far as me, I don't know.
The story I've just recounted is a popular Japanese copypasta that circulated online since internet forums first became a thing. It's known as the Man from Taured. It's cropped up on various websites dedicated to urban legends and occult stories, and in each retelling, the major details remain the same. The story implies that the man is a dimension hopper, and that, in his reality, Andorra is called Taured. When he realizes he's been caught out, he jumps back to his parallel universe. The Man from Taured has since been adapted into books, and has done the rounds on both TikTok and YouTube. A fun piece of sci-fi fiction, and nothing more. Right? Well, in reality, this internet campfire story is actually rooted in a lot more truth than most people realize. And that truth has only been brought to the wider internet's attention very recently. On February 17th, 2021, Reddit user Nalkosh made a post examining this popular copypasta. After conducting an investigation of his own, they determined that although the second half of this story was obviously a work of fiction, the first half had some truth to it. Nalkosh tracked down another post made on r/Japan, one made by user Nathaniel Antonioli, which linked to a 1960s clipping from Vancouver's The Province, an article which told the story of John Allen Kutchar Zegras, a real-world conman. Mr. Zegras wanted to travel the world, read the article. To impress officials, he invented a nation, a capital, a people, and a language. All these he recorded on his passport, which he made himself. John claimed to be a naturalized Ethiopian and an intelligence agent for Colonel Nasser. The passport was stamped as issued at Tamanrasset, the capital of Taured, south of the Sahara. Any places so romantically named ought to exist, but they don't. John Allen Kutchar Zegras invented them. His gallant gesture for the individualist, unfortunately, ended with the Japanese in Tokyo. They began looking up maps. So, it appears a man truly did exist who entered Tokyo using a Taured passport. John Zegras. This was unquestionably the origin of the Man from Taured copypasta, with Zegras' story being the prototype for the urban legend that followed. The only real differences between the true version of events and the fictitious is that this all occurred in 1959, not 1954, and Zegras claimed that Taured was south of the Sahara, rather than between France and Spain. In November of 2020, another Reddit user, Tara Iochi, had uncovered yet another news article, one from a 1960s Japanese newspaper, which included this image of John Zegras, presumably taken from his fake passport. This article revealed that Mr. Zegras, who was 36 at the time, actually gained access to Japan using his fake passport. He was taken into custody 3 months later, trying to exit the country. Translated by John Masterov, the article reads, "A mysterious foreigner of unknown nationality and background, accused of illegal entry and fraud, tried to unalive himself in front of the judge who handed down the verdict at the Tokyo District Court on April 10th. The defendant, John Allen K. Zegras, was sentenced by Judge Yamagishi to 1 year of imprisonment. When the interpreter told him the sentence, the defendant suddenly stood up and grabbed his arm. With pieces of a glass bottle which he had hidden in his mouth, he slashed at his veins. Zegras was admitted by ambulance to Kiyobashi Hospital. The extent of his injuries is believed to have lasted 10 days. Zegras and his Korean wife entered Haneda Airport with a forged passport from Taipei on October 24th last year, and in December of the same year, he stole about 200,000 yen and $140 in traveler's checks from the Tokyo branch of Chase Manhattan Bank, and another 100,000 yen from the Tokyo branch of the Bank of Korea. The forged passport used to enter the country was handmade, and the name of the country was completely fictitious. The defendant spoke 14 languages, and in response to the investigation, he stated that he had come to Japan on orders of an Arabian-related agency and was working for a US intelligence agency. And there we have it, the conclusion to the story of the man from Taured.
I don't know, y'all. As far as that one goes, I feel like the man from Taured is real. Like, I feel like the origin of the story is real, but I feel like so many people have changed and flipped the story around, and there's been so many different versions of the story to what we hearing now is nowhere near the real story, but I believe it does have a real origin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do feel like it was somebody, maybe it was Zegras or somebody who came to Japan with a different passport and yada, 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 yada. But I don't know about all the extra shit, man. I don't know about all the extra shit. You know how I go over time. We all done played that game as a child. Well, I can't even remember the name of the game. Well, one person tell one person something and they ill, then they tell somebody else the same. You supposed to be telling them the same thing and they ill, and you supposed to be telling, then you tell the next person and they ill, then the next and they ill, then the next and they ill, and by the time you get to the last person, the story be completely different. That's how I feel like what went on with this. And I will say something else. And this just how, I'm just gonna keep it real when I say this, man. It's just how I feel. I think the same thing can be true about the Bible. I feel like from where the Bible started, when it was first written, to where we done got to with it, as far as the origins and everything, I feel like there's a lot of extra stuff that been put up in there that really wasn't true from where it was written. And I just leave it at that. Let's go to the last one, I think. Oh shit.
Or rather, the man from nowhere. It seems that even after being taken into custody and stood in front of a judge, the nationality of John Zegras remained a mystery. Some have suggested that Zegras may have actually been from Algeria, a country which contains a city called Tamanrasset, and which is home to the Tuareg, a semi-nomadic people whose name resembles Taured. Over on the Fortina forum, a user named Anoni Jules, who put many of these pieces together in the first place, also unearthed this reference to John Zegras from a Japanese news source. The Tokyo District Court, on the 22nd of December, sentenced John Allen K. Zegras, a man without nationality, to 1 year imprisonment for having illegally entered Japan and passing phony checks. Zegras, a self-styled American who has professedly acted as an agent for the US FBI and CIA, entered this country in 1959 on a bogus passport. So,
Well, hell, there go all the evidence right there to make you believe that it was Zegras. The man from Torrid. I thought we were through with this story, but just from what Lazy just said in them little couple seconds, now you wanna you get evidence like that and make you wanna believe. Okay, well there it is. I don't know. I don't know what to believe with this, y'all. I don't know what to believe. I ain't gonna count.
So, it seems as if Zegras tried to convince the Japanese officials he was working for the US Secret Service at the time of his arrest, apparently spying for the Americans in South Korea. He claimed that he had entered Japan on a secret mission, which included recruiting Japanese military volunteers. Japanese officials contacted their American counterparts, but according to them, no man named John Zegras had ever worked for either the FBI or CIA. So, unless he was a deep cover operative, I think it's safe to say that this was just another of his numerous lies. Thanks to all these discoveries made by proactive internet sleuths, the origin of this copypasta has finally been found. But although the big picture of the man from Torrid has finally come together, I don't think we can label the John Zegras case as solved just yet. We are, after all, still missing some crucial details. Namely, who exactly was John Zegras? Where was he originally from? And what's the story about him trying to end himself in front of the judge? That seems extremely excessive for a 1-year sentence. Until some new documents come to light, we can only speculate on the answers to those questions. But given that so many articles have only recently been unearthed, I'd say there's a good chance that more information will soon come to light.
And that's the main question too, y'all, that I think will help solve a lot of it, is where the fuck did John Zegras really come from? If Torrid don't exist, can we please boil down where he actually came from? Because that'll help debunk and solve a lot of this mystery, man. I don't know, y'all. At the end of the day, like I said, the man from Torrid, I don't know. I don't know. And I can't blame you for believing whatever the fuck you believe, man. This one of them stories where whatever theory you got out there, everybody should look at you and be like, you know what, bro? That's possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it could be that. I don't fucking know. Let's get to the last one now for real, y'all. Japan's Man of Steel, Superman.
July 2nd, 2002, 10:45 AM, Hyogo Prefecture. A Shinkai Soku, or Special Express train, was approaching Kobe's Sumiyoshi station at close to 100 kilometers an hour. But the locomotive wasn't slowing down. Sumiyoshi wasn't one of the scheduled stops on this particular journey, and the train was just passing through. But as it reached the station's platform, the passengers on board were stunned to see a man leap from the train and fly directly into a metal fence. He smashed into the structure at such a speed and with such force that the metal bent on impact, and some areas even shattered and broke off.
Dang.
But that wasn't even the most surprising part. After colliding with the fence, and no doubt suffering extreme bodily injuries, the man casually stood up, brushed himself off, and calmly strolled through the station gates as if nothing had happened, never to be seen or heard from again. He didn't walk with a limp, or appear to be in any discomfort whatsoever. From the outside at least, he appeared to be completely unscathed, a near impossibility. The authorities fully intended to track down the man and arrest him for his reckless act. After all, he could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
Problem was, there were no CCTV cameras monitoring the station at that point in time, and the only evidence that the man ever existed was the damaged fence that he had impressed, and the statements made by dozens of witnesses, both on board the train and on the station's platform. According to them, the man was dressed in all red clothing. But other than that, they were stumped. Nobody had noticed him while on board the train, nor had anyone gotten a look at his face. Whoever he was though, He had clearly planned to leap from the train in advance. There was no way it could have been an accident. The windows in the carriages didn't open, and neither did the doors while the vehicle was in motion. The only explanation was that the man had snuck onto the coupling connecting the carriages at a previous station and intentionally jumped from the train as it passed Sumiyoshi. It was as if he knew that the train wasn't going to stop there, but that he needed to get to Sumiyoshi in a hurry for a business meeting or something. Well, it must have been a very important meeting if it was worth risking his life for. Yeah. Punctuality is important in Japan, but that's taking things to the extreme.
Yeah.
Detectives inspected the damaged fence and theorized that the man must have crashed into it, back first. At those speeds, that's the only way he could have survived the impact. Even so, the odds of him not being split into pieces were astronomically low. That crash would have obliterated most people, and there wasn't anything to cushion the man's landing. The fence was made of steel, and the platform concrete. His insides must have been severely damaged. As such, investigators checked in with all of the hospitals in the region, though strangely, there were no records of anyone with the types of injuries that the man would have sustained being admitted to any of them, and no body turned up in or around Sumiyoshi either. This unknown individual simply vanished into thin air. To this day, his identity remains a mystery. One theory is that beneath his red suit, the man was wearing some sort of protective armor that absorbed the force of his impact, though according to those on the platform, he wasn't sporting any kind of helmet, and his clothes didn't appear bulky like they would if they were concealing Kevlar or some other protective material. Who was this man? What motivated him to jump from a speeding train? And what happened to him afterwards? Is he still alive? Was he even injured? If not, how? And if...
Or is this damn man an alien? Because y'all that know me by now, y'all know that I think aliens walk among us. And this probably could be one. Or a superhero or something. I just feel like it's certain people, it's some undercover people on this earth that are not just regular humans, man. And he possibly could be one of them.
If he was, why didn't he seek treatment? Given that the hunt for this elusive person ended in 2007, it seems we'll never know the name of Japan's Man of Steel. But whoever he was, he certainly left his mark, both figuratively and literally.
Crazy.
G.R. John Hughes.
Crazy, y'all. For real, man. I don't see how... Man, he would have been... I don't even see how he would have been able to stand up after jumping out that damn train onto that platform like that at that speed. And he put an actual dent in fucking steel and shit. Like, this man really was the Man of Steel. That's why I said, y'all, either he a damn alien, or he a fucking superhero, or he got superpowers or something. He fucking Goku around this bitch. For real, man. I don't know, y'all. I really do believe it's some people that we see as humans that's kind of like the movies. These humans that walk around, you think they just regular people, but behind the scenes, they got these fucking superpowers. And he may have been one of them. He ain't been found no more, no nothing. He ain't checking to no hospital, no nothing. I'm just saying, the theory I don't go with is, he was running late for a meeting, or he had to be somewhere so quick. That's why he jumped off. He was already anticipating and he was ready to do it. No, he wouldn't survive that fucking jump. Long story short, short story long. Ain't no way in the hell that man supposed to survive that jump. These three stories was crazy as hell, man. That's how that one went. The second one, I just don't know what to make for that, man. You just believe whatever the hell you want to with that one, man. That's all I can say. I don't know if fucking the man was a damn a dimension jumper. I don't know if he was from another dimension or from the future, or I don't know where he came from. All I feel like is that it's some origins to that story that is real, but over time, a lot of it has got misconstrued and lies have been told about it. In the first one, I'm gonna stick to what I believe, man. I believe that sister and that brother killed their brother. Cause ain't no way in the hell that man was dead for 5 fucking years and y'all ain't know it. In y'all house. Y'all didn't know it for 5 years that this man body was in y'all house. Get the fuck out of here. I agree with my brothers and sisters, man. I'm gonna let y'all go now, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, and subscribe before you leave. Don't do that for me. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. But before I see y'all tomorrow, brothers and sisters, you know I got to say this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.